Cyberpunk 2077 was released 3 years ago. It was a game that everyone was waiting for. But because of greed and desire to make more money, the developers were forced to release the game in a very unfinished state. And finally, after 3 years of a beta testing, we released this Cyberpunk. Have we? Let's start with the basics. If you're expecting the developers to have added something to this add-on that wasn't in the original, no, they didn't. The point of the update is that they finally did everything they wanted to do in the original, or at least a lot of it. The subway, for example, is still missing. So when you play the new update, you won't see anything new. But what I can promise you is that you will definitely experience new emotions. So what has changed? First of all, gunplay. When I first played Cyberpunk, I basically liked the way they did the shooting in the game. But now when I started shooting for the first time in the 2.0 update, I was shocked. The guns feel different. The shots, the rates of fire, the recoil. It's hard for me to describe it. But now the gun feels heavy. I can describe it with a comparison. Look, the past shooting is a paintball. When there is a recoil, the weight of the gun, but very weak. And now it is a real gun, with real recoil, speed of fire and so on. So you have more confidence now that you're shooting a real gun, not a plastic gun. And that's where I felt a year after I last turned the game on. And I felt it from the first shoot. And it happened with every gun. But what surprised me, after the shootout, I collected the loot, then checked the inventory, and there were no rifles and shotguns. But then I realized that the game just recycles all the weapons picked up in the materials for crafting. The developers decided to redesign the loot system, and now all enemy weapons are marked as broken, except for pistols and melee weapons for some reason. And this solves two problems. The first is the littering of your inventory. Second, a huge amount of money from selling tons of weapons at the beginning of the game. Is it less realistic? Yes. Is it more interesting? Of course! When I first time saw the trailers, I was hoping that we would only be able to carry 2 or 3 weapons like in Metal Gear Solid 5, or we would have a very limited inventory for big guns like in Deus Ex. And so we will carry the weapons in the trunk, but unfortunately this isn't the case. Speaking of realism, the developers has changed healing system. Previously, after an hour of play, you would have hundreds of medical kits and go into battle using them every few seconds. Now it won't work. Now the health kits and grenades have become your skills that have a recovery time. What does that mean? For example, if you need to heal, you will only have 2 medkits. As you progress, you'll be able to get more. But for now, you'll only have 2. You use this medkit, you have 1 left, and the one you use starts to recharge. And if you use the second medkit before the first one recharge, you won't be able to heal, which will most likely lead to your imminent death. Same with grenades, there are 2 of them and you have to wait for them to reload. And yes, it is less realistic and illogical, but believe me, it is much better and more fun. Finally, it is no longer possible to play recklessly and you have to hide behind the cover and use all your cyberpunk arsenal. As for the enemies, the developers say that they have become smarter, hiding behind objects and generally behaving more tactically. I guess. Let's put it in this way. Yes, they really started using cover, trying to keep their heads down, and generally running from cover to cover. That's true. But I just don't remember what it was like before and if it's changed. But it's pretty good now. Cars. The developers have changed driving. Now every car feels different. And if before the cheapest jalopies felt as best as car, I'm not kidding, they were my favorite to drive. Now every car is unique. The most important thing is that now you can feel their weight. You can feel the car on corners and when accelerating. Although I like the new car sounds much more. Again, I don't remember how it used to be, but I was super excited like a kid when I got into Johnny's Porsche 911. And when I shifted gears, the car really slowed down and growled. I could feel it in the steering, the vibes in the stick and the sounds coming from the engine and the wheels, and I really enjoyed it. Although I have to be honest, I didn't get that much enjoyment out of the motorcycles. Maybe they stayed the same, or maybe I don't understand anything about motorcycles. By the way, now you can shoot from the car, and that is a great feature that I don't know when and why to use. To clarify, the quests in the new upgrade haven't changed, or maybe they've changed a little bit, and originally they were made wait with the fact that you can't shoot from a car. And now that this feature has been added, I don't really understand when and why to use it. Although it is a very situational feature and we will need it once or twice in the whole game, not counting the add-on. Maybe the developers will add missions with the shooting in the car, but I'm very happy that they added it. First of all, now the game is more like GTA, and everyone thought that in 2020 it will be GTA in Cyberpunk genre. Second, it is better to have an option and not use it than not have an option at all. Besides, I read that now even some cars can shoot from rocket launchers and machine guns, but I haven't met such yet. The police have also changed. Now the police will actually chase you if you run away. At different levels of the search there will be different squads after you, and the police themselves have become more powerful, especially Maxtag. And they added logic in their appearance. Now, if you will be in expensive neighborhood, the police will come in a huge crowd at once. And in the same Pacifica, sometimes you will have to wait a few minutes for a new wave of police. Which is logical, because nobody wants to go to the dangerous areas in real life. But I can't tell you much about this change, because I haven't really shot with the police in Cyberpunk yet. I don't like to do that at all, since I was about 15 years old. But again, well done for adding this feature. Because of this change, the police can now join in on the occasional shootout, which adds to the variability of the game. About the Cyberimplants, they changed the interface design as well as logic of the implants. That is, now as implants are responsible for armor, we have indicators of it, as well as the maximum number of implants, which will grow with the level. And by the way, yes, now it is not the clothing that is responsible for armor, but Cyberimplants. If you need to increase your armor, you need to install special implants. And a lot of people are happy about it, because now clothes are just for looks and nothing more. And I don't care. I'm the kind of person who doesn't care what the characters look like in the first-person game. It's certainly not a Starfield. After all, the Cyberpunk came out 3 years ago and wasn't the hugest Xbox exclusive. So here you can see your character's body. But at the same time, I really look down and don't see it. So I was happy with the system when you put on your clothes as armor, especially since it was possible to choose one type, and whatever you put on, the clothes on the character don't change, only characteristics are. And I understand that a jacket cannot have more armor than body armor, and it is logical that now it is implants, body armor and helmets that increase armor and nothing else. But I am not particularly happy about it. It was okay for me before and okay now. Here I didn't get better or worse. For me, it's just different. But not only the armor implants have changed, but all implants in general. So you can forget about your old guides. And again, this is good because implants have become more logical, more interesting and not so unbalanced. So I'm happy about this change. It is just a shame that they didn't add any new implants, they just tweaked the old ones. They threw out all the leveling from the original and invented a whole new one. And I like it. Much better than the last one. Look, first of all, now there is no such a thing that all the leveling is just about improving some parameters, like it was before. Now there are really a lot of perks and passive skills. They also added skills for the car, so leveling is much more logical now. For example, if you want to level assault rifles, here on the left you can see the skill tree for assault rifles. And the whole thread is about leveling the rifles, so there is no such thing as all the skills being scattered around and you not understanding what you need to upgrade, so you can safely make the build that you need. You can start saying, why are you happy? All this should have been added when the game first released. It's a little thing that must be in any open worlds. And yes, that's true. But note, some Ubisoft or EA could have changed the title to Cyberpunk 2077 Remaster and sell only the update itself for $20. But the Poles decided to spend 3 years on the development and made this update free. So for me it's a great update, and the developers should still be praised. And for those people who have been waiting for the patch that will make Cyberpunk that Cyberpunk, congratulations! The game is out. Now you can play it. And for those of you who have never ever tried to play, do it. It is well worth your time and money.